How's it going? I just double checked. Voice isolation is not on, and we are recording through Riverside, directly into Riverside. So this is cloud storage. So hopefully the file can't become corrupted. We'll see if this works. But that's why the Riverside logo is on here. Basically, I don't want to pay for Riverside because I'm too cheap. Maybe if Modern Quest makes enough money or something, but as of right now, nah, I don't make enough money to pay for that. So I'll just give them some free advertising, which is okay for the 10 or 11 people who watch these videos or listen to the podcast. Yeah, so you shared 5 poems that you wrote, which is awesome. Poetry eludes me. I just can't fathom it, can't understand it. I need to mute my phone real quick. Okay. Just gotta make sure that we don't get any text messages. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, poetry eludes me. I'm not very good at it. I have tried, but it is difficult. So it's nice to see that you wrote poetry and that you saved them from all those years ago. Not Yet Manly, a man after God's heart. Going on an adventure made me think of Bilbo. I'm going on an adventure. You gotta find adventure in the tasks that you must do. That's what a line from, geez, every time I slightly bump the table, camera shakes. Finding adventure in the tasks that we must do, like that's the whole point of the Modern Quest, is that we have to view our life as a quest. That is what the purpose of this is that we live in this modern world full of hedonism and just pleasure-seeking people, and we are going to seek God and purpose through Him instead. So that is all great stuff. Adventures in everyday life. I love that. You're not perfect. What does it mean to be an image bearer? How do you define manhood? What does it mean to be a man? Those were some of the questions that you had asked. So my dad raised me on a book called Raising a Modern Day Knight by Robert Lewis. And in that book, he defines manhood. A man is a person who rejects passivity, who accepts responsibility, leads courageously, and expects the greater reward. And then he says, in addition to that, God grants every man with 3 things: a work to do, a woman to love, and a will to obey. So my dad poured these things, these principles into me growing up. Now, what does that mean exactly? Like what those things, like those are kind of abstract concepts, and what do they mean in real day-to-day terms? I think I found that answer in like the guidance from Viktor Frankl when he says that liberty means nothing unless it is lived in terms of responsibleness. Freedom is in danger of degenerating if we do not live responsibly. That is why we must have a statue of responsibility on the West Coast. That statue of responsibility, that's what we are trying to build here in a creative endeavor on the Modern Quest. So like abstractly, that's what it means to be a man. And it's certainly not what Andrew Tate thinks a man is. Talk about hedonism, right? Just pure pleasure, nothing else. Don't get me started on Andrew Tate. My goodness. What a dweeb. He's convinced an entire generation of men that all women are basically whores and sluts, and women bring no value to a relationship except for our own pleasure. And it's like, so you become what you accuse them of being, but it's okay because you're a man. Like that, the logic does not make sense. at all. So we need to get away from him and become, frankly, a modern day radical on the other side, which is to have a family, get married, have a family, live responsibly, read books, get up early, get to work on time, and work as hard as possible. Serve God in everything that you do. That's radical. I'm sorry that my dog is making a ton of noise. He doesn't understand the fact that I'm recording. Winston! Those are my thoughts on what it means to be a man. I have this speech today, one of my brother's favorite quotes ever from Teddy Roosevelt. This is his speech, and this excerpt of his speech is called "The Man in the Arena." We have this posted on the wall at Whetstone where I work for the boys to read. They don't read it. They just walk right past it as they enter the schoolroom. But the opening line is pretty famous, so I'll read this excerpt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither knew no victory nor defeat. Shame on the man who cultivated taste, who permits refinement to develop into fastidiousness that unfits him for doing the rough work of a workaday world. Among the free peoples who govern themselves, there is but a small field of usefulness open for the men of cloistered life who shrink from contact with their fellows. Still less room is there for those who deride or slight what is done by those who actually bear the brunt of the day, nor yet for those others who always profess that they would like to take action if only the conditions of life were not exactly what they are. The man who does nothing cuts the same sordid figure in the pages of history, whether he be cynic or fop or voluptuary. There is little use for the being whose tepid soul knows nothing of the great and generous emotion, of the high pride, the stern belief, the lofty enthusiasm of the men who quell the storm and ride the thunder. Well, for these men, if they succeed, well also, though not so well, if they fail, given only that they have nobly ventured and have put forth all their heart and strength. It is war-won Hotspur, spent with hard fighting, he of the many errors and valiant end, over whose memory we love to linger, not over the memory of the young lord who, but for the vile guns, would have been a valiant soldier. I have dogs who think that they are valiant soldiers, but when push comes to shove, they sleep all day. Anyway, so it is not the critic who counts. I know a lot of people who claim, oh, well, if circumstances were different, if I could have done this, I would have done this way better. And they just criticize everything, but they have no way. They have no production themselves. They don't produce anything themselves. They only criticize the work that other people have done. And who cares about them? Who cares about them? What matter? The people who fail trying, well, they didn't really fail because they actually tried. They actually did something. They put forth effort. And that's what matters, is actual effort, and not, I've been trying, but they're actually not. They just claim that they are, right? Those are still the critics who blame their life circumstances for everything instead of just doing something, you know. And that's part of how the modern quest started, is that I kept on, like with this content stuff, I kept on just waiting for like the right idea. Oh, once I get the right idea, once I get more time, once I get a job where I can work full time and still work part time, but still pay my bills, I'll be able to have time to actually produce the content that I want to produce. But that's just not how it works. And that's not how it worked out. Instead, I had to work hard with the time that I have, which right now, especially doing school and work, is super, super limited. But that's what I'm doing, is working hard, trying to. And that's what you're doing. You're not waiting, right? You work right now. You're working 6 days a week, if I remember right, trying to take care of Hannah and Lewis and everybody. So that's just great stuff. But we need to remember also, when we are in the arena, it's not the critic who counts. It's not the people who criticize us but who are themselves doing nothing. Constructive criticism from the people who are working hard, that's good. But the people who, just sit by and do nothing but criticize, they don't have a place in my heart to criticize me. But the people who have put in effort, I'll listen to them. And I think that's what Teddy Roosevelt wanted us to hear back when I doubt that he wrote this speech. I'm sure he had a speechwriter, but he was an example of a dedicated man, full of hobbies. So, yeah, good speech. All right, that's all I have for now. See you next time on Speeches and Stories, Lyrics and Letters. Bye.